Hi, Gary here from BookMob. Today's episode, I'm going to be doing a book roundup for 2023 so far. I've managed to get through 14 books since January 1, and I'll start from the last one read to the first one read. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of information about each book. This is Lapvona, I think it is. Ottessa, Moshfegh. I cannot pronounce the name, but this is a sort of. It was found under the science fiction fantasy section at the bookshop, but it's not really. It is more of a what if Middle Ages peasant versus the Lord of the Manor story. Great book. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Just brilliantly written. Okay, this is Bret, Easton, Ellis of American Psycho fame and Less Than Zero. Okay, this book was a chunky book to read, but I read it pretty quickly. It took me 3 days. And, I mean, I wasn't happy with it. It was a kind of... it's just all about spoiled people and spoiled young people with too much money and too much time in their hands. And it kind of gets... there's nothing really... anything about the characters that I could acquaint myself with. Everyone was just really self-centered, nasty, full of drugs, sex, and kind of no redeeming qualities. But perhaps that's what Bret Easton Ellis was after. It certainly demonstrated a part of society I would have myself nothing to do with. The old perennial Stephen King. This one I think is from 1998. Is it 98? Let's have a look. Yeah, Bag of Bones. This one, I was attracted to this one because it's about a writer who has writer's block, and he is going through sort of experiences, paranormal experiences, after his wife passes away, and also his a young woman who's got a baby, and he tries to help them. Too much, use the word panties a lot, and erections. So, I mean, it was a fun read, but not my favourite Stephen King. Female Man by Joanna Russ. Now, this is a science fiction book, and it was bloody good. Basically, 4 characters, time travelling, but it's not time travel in the traditional sense. She overcomes the time travel issue by using the parallel universes motif. And so it's about, basically it's a feminist novel for kicking men in the balls, and boy, do they deserve it. And I love this book. Great book. I gave it 5. This was a mistake read. This was I actually thought this, because on the back, the way the blurb went, I thought it was a science fiction time travel, but it's not. It's a love story between 2 people who, I don't know, 2 people who just really don't belong to each other. Then there's the Book Eaters, which I think I read. Yeah, this is from January, 23rd of January. This is like Harry Potter with The Shining, I guess. It was okay. It was well written, lots of core violence, but at the end of the day, a pretty basic story, and it's like sort of vampires with books who literally eat books. This is part 2, Before the Coffee Gets Cold. It's from a Japanese playwright, and I think they've 3 of these books. This is volume 2. I've got volume 3 somewhere there, but I'm not in the mood to read it at the moment. But at the end of the day, it's just another time travel sort of a scenario where people go to a coffee shop in Japan, and there's all these rules that you have to follow. You can only go back for a short amount of time. But it's, clever. Nice stories. Tender is the Flesh. Agustina Bazterrica, Argentinian author. This is a wonderful, gut-wrenching, nasty story about when animals all over globally become infected with a virus. Hence, human beings cannot eat animal meat anymore. And instead of becoming full vegetarian, the world collectively decides to harvest human beings. And that's the story. It's just how quickly people can adapt and it's it's got some real nasty scenes in it. Where the one where he goes through the character goes who run the manager of the abattoir, and so it's a very dark book, brilliantly written, but not for everyone. Okay, and this was the Jane Austen Remedy. This is an Australian memoir by Ruth Wilson, and it's basically at the age of 70, she was decided to change her life. She wanted to find part of herself that she felt that she had lost in her youth. So she leaves her she leaves her husband, and she moves to the Southern Highlands in New South Wales, buys a house or lives in a house that she was given to her by her parents. And she then goes through 6 of Jane Austen's novels, and she reflects on each novel what the message, friendship, marriage, relationships, money, security, and then she takes each novel and kind of fills it in with stories from her own life. So, look, an easy read, like having a nice cup of chamomile tea. Crossroads, Jonathan Franzen. I actually bought this book in 2022, and it sat on my to-do read for over a year. And actually, when I first got through it, I was surprised. I thought, I wish I'd read it sooner, because I started reading it around January 2022, and I just couldn't get into it. And then I picked it up in when did I pick this up? Yeah, 10th of January I picked this up, and went through it like anything. I think it took me it took me 2 days. So I really got stuck into that. That was a good story. Okay, this is the letters of John le Carre, the famous spy came from the cold, and this is his the letters. I'm a big fan of reading letters, because generally not all letters are meant for publication. So you can get a nice sense of someone's life, how they felt about certain things. You can also see on certain dates that resonate with yourself, like your birthday or the day you were born or whatever, and it just reminds you of what this, so you get an insight into someone's life that is private and personal. And there are also business letters and that, but that's important because it talks to you about the publishing world and how things got done, how things got written. And yeah, so this was a good read. This is Jack Carr. This is the 5th book in the series. Yeah, this is the 5th book in the Jack Carr. This is the Reese, the ex-SEAL, who goes mental and hunts people down and shoots them, and snipers. It's not a traditional thriller. It's not like Tom Clancy's so into like actual machines and planes and submarines. He knows them back to front. This is more of visceral, sort of one soldier's up against the coalface of evil. And at the end, I think the character Reese is, for me, by this book, is becoming far too James Bondish. I prefer the earlier books where he was a bit more vulnerable. He wasn't as quick to end problems. So it's still, it's a fun read. A lot of people wouldn't like it. I've seen a lot of the, people can't take, on the internet, if you look at reviews, it's all, it's a right-winger, blah, blah, blah. It's so boring. Get over it. It's just a book. If you like it, you read it. If you don't, well, don't. And Barbara Kingslover, The Demon Copperhead. I read, what did she, I had it in my head. The where is it? Poisonwood Bible, which I really liked. That was a great family drama. But this was pretty intense. It's about poverty and overcoming things. But it's in depth. You enjoy it. You can feel the characters. It's written from a very, very, from the heart of a person's life and experience. And I certainly could recommend this one. Again, it's another tome, but it's worth it. How long? So it took me 3 days to read this one. Obviously, I've got a lot of time on my hand, which is why I like books, because, not everyone can read all these books. And that's it for so far. But the next book I've got lined up to read is This is called Coal People. I've just heard about it. I just saw it and I picked it up. I went, oh, okay. It's about, I think, aliens are coming to planet Earth, and I think it's got something to do with, and only a certain amount of humans can live. Hopefully it's got nothing to do with those balloons flying over Montana. But anyway, so Coal People is my next book. Anyway, I hope you liked that episode, and I'll be back with more as the year goes by. Read on.